Does he have it? He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! '85. It is time for Sebring. A very different look to this circuit from the modern day iteration, which has been installed since 1999. We are going all the way back to 1985 when Sunset Bend was here, and so was the Ullman Straight just before it, but not much else really was. It has a familiar look, but it's very, very different once you start driving around it, as we'll show you here today for the second round of this championship. Back at Daytona, it was a real race of fuel saving and strategy, but Daniel Hurlock was able to take the race victory at a JT Tummy after 2.4 hours of racing around the high banks of Daytona. Well, today we're racing for exactly half that distance, 1.2 hours here at Sebring, with 10 times acceleration on the time scale. And as you can see with the calendar here on your screen, it is going to be the norm to have lapped races after this. 250 kilometers at Mugello in exactly 3 weeks today. Then in May, the last of the timed races, 2.4 hours at Le Mans. And then towards the end of the season, Monza, Silverstone, Hockenheim, Mosport, Spa, Brands Hatch, Fuji and Sandown, all 250 kilometers of racing to take us all the way to early December and the finale of this season. So, counts, this might actually be one of the shorter races of the season by the looks of things. We'll see how it gets on over the course of today. Here is your track map, and just watch how it's changed. Turn 1 looks quite similar on that track map, but I can tell you from the real life, it certainly isn't. It's a little bit more open, a lot faster, and that means that turn 2 is even faster again. A very, very scary corner going into Tower Turn, and a corner that's normally actually towards the end of the circuit these days. It is right towards the beginning here, this version. The S's 4, 5 and 6 are a little bit like the S's that are at turns 3, 4 and 5 here in the modern day, but they're a little bit more flowing and easier to go through. And then you've got Big Bend round turn 7. That is pretty much the same before Hairpin, which is effectively just going on a little bit further than where you do these days and going around the hairpin that is still there as a sort of access road at the bottom of the circuit. Then a chicane, which isn't there in real life. It's certainly a lot more flowing in real life these days. And then, or in the modern day, I should say. And then in towards turn 11. 14's flat out before turn 15, a beautifully committed penultimate corner that doesn't have a name. Turn 15, we'll call it. And Sunset Bend is the final corner, almost as it is today. Maybe a little bit tighter to begin with, but other than that, it's
Oh, it looks like we have lost Mr. O'Leary. Are you back, Mr. O'Leary? Oh, he is. Hold on.
Oh.
I think. Yeah, hello.
There we go. All right, we're all good to go again. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was just going through the track map and what we've got coming up for us here today. Qualifying is just coming to a close, by the way, here in warm-up. So before we get to anything else, let's chat to Ross Smith, who has joined us in the chat, and as we go through our keys to the race. and you can see them on your screen at the moment. Ross, what are your keys to the race? What are you thinking about heading into this race? Round 2 at Sebring here tonight.
Well, it's pretty much what's on the tin. I mean, you got to know where the bumps are. You got to be mindful of them because these cars are very, very sensitive to undulations on the track. Knowing where you are on the track, I mean, knowing the circuit is extremely important, especially as we go into the night. A lot of drivers are finding that it feels completely different because it's very dark out there. If you've watched any of the old 80s footage, you can see that they don't even bother putting cameras much on parts of the track away from, like, say, pit lane, because there just simply aren't any lights out there. All you see is these dim headlights off in the distance. And it's like, well, there are cars over there. And it feels very much the same way when you're actually driving. If you don't have a big gaggle of cars you're in, you feel like you're on the moon. There's just nothing out there. So knowing where those braking points are is going to be extremely important. Knowing where the track limits are is extremely important. The drivers have been warned about where they are. For this race, you basically have till the grass through T1 and up to T3. But other than that, you kind of have to stay in the lines. And some drivers are finding that kind of difficult to do. So yeah, all in all, I think attrition is going to be the biggest point for this race, just being able to stay on the island. The cars change quite a bit as they lose fuel. And some drivers may opt to take tires, especially if they've had a few spins. And others are going to try and stay out. We saw quite a bit of that at MNRL, even with maybe half the grid. So it's going to be kind of a lot of different strategies converging, a lot of different drivers just trying to push the car as much as they can without falling off the track, and it should be entertaining for everybody.
What about fuel this time round? Because at Daytona, that was literally the only thing we talked about, basically, because it was so important to that race. How important is it compared with that opening round?
Oh, well, it's still very important, but I don't think it's going to be as detrimental here. The track allows for a lot more points to lift and coast and to be able to take advantage of some of the ground effects of the cars to grind through the corners. We're half the fuel, so we're at 125 liters, and target is somewhere around 3.7, 3.8, maybe a little bit higher. It's going to shift a little bit as car balance changes. Cars become a little bit more efficient as the race goes on. You can't push them quite as hard through some of the corners, so you just naturally will fall off a little bit. Not so much on the pace, but just on how much you have to whip the car through some of the corners. They're able to kind of glide through at a particular rate. It's a weird thing to deal with. I think people who run Formula E might be a little bit more familiar with it, although you don't have the fuel weight tapering off, but very similar sort of mindset in that you're just trying to be very efficient as you're going through. So yeah, it's important, but certainly not as important. I think you'll see the MCAs, they'll probably have a really strong advantage. You're not going to see them lifting as much, but they do have to deal with a lot of understeer. So it'll be interesting how that kind of comes around with tire wear. So other than that, it's sort of just going to be who's got the best setup and who's able to manage their car throughout the race.
What are you expecting from yourself personally before we let you go?
I'd like to survive. I'd like to try and get a top 5 in class. I'd love a podium in class if possible, but it's very stiff competition. A lot of these other drivers in the Pro-Am class in particular, they have their cars fairly hooked up. So I'm going to try and stay on the island as much as I can. The practice race or the full race at MNRL helped on Tuesday to just be able to understand the way that the shifting dynamics are. So I'm hoping that's to my advantage and I can avoid all of the debris that's kicking around out there. Those tire bundles are pretty heavy. So if you see people hitting those during the race, it's likely they're going to have to come in and fix that damage.
All right, Ross, thanks for coming to have a chat with us before the race, as ever, letting us know the inside scoop, if you like, and good luck for the race ahead.
Thank you, Ewan, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure, and good luck on the broadcast.
Thanks very much. Ross Smith there, one of our Pro-Am drivers here tonight for the Virtual World Sportscar Championship historic version tonight at Sebring. Good evening, gents. I'm very much looking forward to this. I know you've already been chatting around the stream because I've been dipping in and out, but hopefully that's all sorted now. This is going to be about learning for a lot of us. I mean, as a commentator, you're always loading up your track map before the race, and today it's one of those days where you think, what the hell's this? It's very different to what you get at Sebring these days.
It is, yeah, but I think it's going to make it even more interesting. You know, we did see a rather spectacular crash with Vinicius Goncalves, who ended up in the camping section of the racetrack, which was quite amazing how he ended up there. But it makes you realise just how unsafe, the circuits was back in the day, and it's a lot more safer now. Don't get me wrong, it's still got some characteristics of the modern day circuit, but I'm also going to be very interested to see how they all deal with it, and I think that's the thing. And hopefully they've all had their practice in. I know you're not a lover of Sebring, so this should be a fun one.
Certainly should. 1.2 hours here today. As I mentioned, one of only 3 timed races here this season. And so that means that effectively we're replicating a real life race. The 12 hours of Sebring, of course. We had a 10 times multiplier on the time at Daytona as well for a full day-night cycle. We'll have 10 times time scale on this one as well, so that we get into the darkness in the last part of the race. In the last 2 or 3 hours, normally in the real world, we have darkness, and so expect it in sort of 20 minutes to go, maybe a bit longer. We'll wait and see on that. The driver's briefing seems to be over, so we'll watch some guys out there in warm in a few moments' time. But as it's round 2, let's have a look at the championship standings at the end of the opening round of the season. The Pro standing, C1 Pro, is being led by Daniel Hurlock at the moment. Top 9 getting 1 point or more, and then 0.5 for those who finished below, by the way. JT Tummy 5 points further behind on 15 after a podium last time. Scott Pope was also on the podium in 3rd. Oliver Day finished 4th ahead of Eduardo Beninca. Mike Bell was 6th ahead of Andrew Rice and Micah Durant. Then Johnny Gutierrez and Ethan Funk rounding out the top 10, followed by Magnus Dahlgren, Walter de Bruin, Bradley Sellers, Elko Bussing, Alexander Schultz and Timon Subic all on a half point. Risto Corpi and Gabriel Mora scored no points because they didn't finish. So that's why they're on the 0, even though they were there. And it's JT Tammy and Scott Pope with the 2nd and 3rd, who are leading the team's championship by just a point over Dan Hurlock and Mike Bell, who are 1st and 6th. So it just shows the importance of a race win if 2nd and 3rd can be so closely followed by a team that were only 1st and 6th during the opening round of the season. In the C1 Pro Am standings, everyone's in a C1, by the way, it is Becky Ely Clark leading the way. She was 10th overall after qualifying on pole at the opening round at Daytona, with Robin Molin in 2nd place. Troy Ewan, Ross Smith and John Ewan were the only others to finish. Oliver Newman, Luca Tavanari and Yuki Takanashi all retired from the race. In fact, C1 Pro-Am had the most retirements of any class, with 3 out of the 5 total retirements coming to an end early. Becky Ely Clark, Yuki Takanashi and Ross Smith are leading the team's championship days ahead of the Ewyans by 10 points, helped a lot by Becky Ely Clark's race win in the opening round of the season. In the C1 AM standings, it was an 18th place overall, but a class victory for Peter Meyer ahead of George Angelidis in a very dramatic class and a very entertaining class, I've got to say as well, throughout the day. Jules Lalonde was 3rd ahead of Jerry Chen and Vinicius Gonzalez, rounding out the top 5. Adam Gray was 6th, but Stephen Miller, with Wayne Hutchinson failing to finish. He was the only AM driver not to finish a few weeks ago. George Angelidis is leading Vinicius Gonzalez in the team's championship, although there's very little of a team's championship, to be honest. They don't even have teammates. But anyway, they are 1 and 2 at the moment there. So very early to say anything about the Drivers' Championship, really. But what we can say a lot about is the previous race. It was a lot of fuel saving, I've got to say, over the course of the day. But I was talking to Ross beforehand, and we were just talking to him there about the amount of fuel saving you have to do here. Not as dramatic, and of course nobody wants to be fuel saving at any time, but the fact you're on the throttle so much less round here than you are at Daytona is certainly going to help.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. Daytona, as we know, is a very draft-heavy track, and they're able to save fuel quite a lot. I'd be interested to see where they're going to be able to do it here. I think it's going to be very, very tough for them. I think, as I said, down the back from Le Mans down to Ulman, into Sunset, I think that's going to be probably maybe their best bit. As of that, I can't really see a lot of other places that are going to try and obviously lift and coast into turn 3, maybe into 8, the hairpin, going into 11. But yeah, I don't know. I think I would run this full, see where I run out and see what happens. But then again, I've been rubbish at fuel saving in the past, so it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, you'd be out.
Well, for sure. I would be out. What you said, I can't drive at all. Bit rude.
No, you can't. I don't think you can refuel. So So there we go. It's certainly a race fuel saving. What we did also hear from Ross beforehand as well is about the tyre changing. If you have a couple of spins across the day, then you will be wanting to change tyres. It is only ×1 tyre wear, but it will certainly take a lot out of the tyres if you do go for spins. So that may be done throughout the day. We did see a couple of stops throughout the day. So at Daytona, I mean. So maybe we will again hear. A good evening, afternoon to everybody watching along, Phil and Tom and Kim and everyone else who's chatting along with us at the moment. Tom Lane's chat pretty interesting. Running 15, 16 seconds quicker than race pace. I can't feel like there's a little bit of hyperbole in there. However, that does line up very much with Daytona, where qualifying pace was sky high compared to race pace in the end. I mean, the pole time for Becky Ely-Clark at Daytona was a 1:35.5. The best lap in the race from her was a 43.8. So 8 seconds was the gap between pole and race pace for her last time out. Expecting it's something similar. Tom's saying it's going to be something like double that.
It's going to be interesting if they're going to be 15 to 16 seconds slower in race pace. I think that's a heck of a lot there as well. Roger Clark, go Becky. I'm going to presume Roger is Becky's husband. Being obviously she's now Becky Ely-Clark, of course, which we're still getting used to because we've now got to say Ely-Clark rather than Ely. So Roger, cheers for that. And Kim, obviously, is always in here, so fair play to Kim. But I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a good one. I just hope it's clean. I can't predict it will be clean, and I can't say it's going to be clean, but you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone says before one of these races, it's all about just trying to keep it on the track more than anything else. Ross's main objective, if you like, was to survive. And that's absolutely fair enough in conditions like these. So, you can't really blame him for that at all. And indeed, everybody else as well, who's going to be just trying to do exactly that. Just stay on the road throughout the day. It is a bit of a longer lap round here. It's worth noting when we're thinking about how many seconds, will be off the pace. Pole was a 2:04, by the way. Fastest lap at the moment in this warm-up session is a 2:16.4. So that is quite a lot of time. But it's worth noting that the circuit is a bit longer here. We were just seeing the track statistics. 7.8 kilometers around here. So much bigger facility than it used to be. Or than it is now, I should say, here, this version of Sebring. So it does take a bit of a longer time to get round there. So maybe that does line up. But again, it does show how careful everyone's going to be in the race, not only for fuel saving or whatever, but actually just to stay on the road and keep it a clean race. As you say, it's going to take a bit of a slower pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing they've got to look at is getting to the end. If you're not at the end, if you're not on track, you can't score points. It's fairly straightforward. And if you want to give yourself a hope, stay on circuit. Don't push like mad. See where you end up. Here
we go then. The starting grid is coming up on your screen because the race is ready to go, and Becky Ely-Clark has taken a second pole position of the season ahead of the two Lanciers of Eduardo Beninca and Nicholas Kirsten. It's Walter de Bruin sharing row 2 with him. Oliver Day and Elko Bussing are on row 3 ahead of Tom Lane and Dan Hurlock, who was the winner from Daytona, starting in 8th place. He started 7th at Daytona, so maybe it is a good omen for him. Adrian Rice and Ross Smith round out the top 10 with Magnus Dahlgren and Timon Suvik on row 6. That's a Pro-Am row, followed by a Pro row in the field. Then Antonius Paradopoulos is 13th ahead of Robin Moling, with Mike Bell and Scar Pope sharing row 8, another all-pro row there in number 8. Scar Pope finishing on the podium at Daytona. John Ewan is ahead of Johnny Gutierrez, with George Angelidis, the first of the AMs, in 19th ahead of JT Tami, who rounds out the top 20. He was second at Daytona, although he qualified 13th that day. Troy Ewan is next ahead of Alexander Schultz, with Gilles Lalonde and Stephen Miller, an all-AM 12th row of the grid. 25th is Carl Stroll, with Jerry Chen alongside. Peter Meyer and Stacey Scotts are on row 14, followed by the final drivers on the grid, Wayne Hutchison and Vinicius Gonçalves. 30 drivers on the grid for this one. A little bit less than the 34 than we had at Daytona, but that's still a good entry to have for this new round of the season. as indeed the drivers make their way off for their pace lap. They've got 4 minutes to complete it. With an hour and 16, you can see up on the clock, should be about an hour and 12 when we go racing in a few moments' time. But Becky Lee Clark leading them away through turn 1, now through turn 2. And one other thing you'll notice really about this, this is Tower Corner, actually, this is turn 3. But one other thing you'll notice, it's not got the grass lining the circuit like it does these days. It's an old airfield, of course, really not very old airfield by this stage in its making. It was only 1985, so this circuit had only been turned into a circuit 35 years ago. It's closer to its origin than it is to the modern day, put it that way, this circuit at the moment. And that means, other than this section here, you've really got to watch your own track limits rather than have the track do it for you like you end up doing in real life, because there's not very much keeping you within the bounds of the track other than around these few corners here.
I think they are going to be very, very struggling, because there's a lot of tyre barriers and tyre walls around, and I think these guys are going to be possibly somewhere in some of them areas on the left-hand side. I do like Roger's message in YouTube chat. Yep, the husband doing my husband duties and watching. Well, Roger, a quick word of advice, get a pad of pen, write down everything that's happened, because she's going to question you after, so make sure you have got all the information you need. So she qualified on pole and is leading the field on the parade lap. That's a good start for you, Roger, there. Well, you've got to fill him in, Ewan, he might miss it.
Yeah.
And then he will be in trouble. He'll end up sleeping on the sofa or something. I don't know.
I'm sure it's probably not the first time he's been. Oh, that fan's waving a green flag there. Sorry, it's not a marshal. It's just someone's brought their own green flag to cause havoc. Anyway, in towards the chicane at the end of the straight come the drivers here, just over the rise down and then back down the other side in towards this chicane. There are a couple of pretty steep declines around this circuit. It is an airfield, but there is some real sections here where you go downhill very quickly indeed, and well, it wouldn't happen now, but does make you bolt upright a little bit when you are when you're driving. Right at the end here, I think it is the last of them as you go through this flat out kink. Here it is. Doesn't look like much when you're going at this kind of speed, but trust me, when they get it up to full speed a little bit later on, mate, there'll be wheels off the ground and all sorts. Through the fast right-hander they go. Then when are they going to get double file? It is noted in the briefing that drivers are supposed to be double file the whole time. It's actually a bit too narrow to do that everywhere, so they're just going to form up again towards the end, I suspect, and they'll all get very close once again. I did notice a few were a bit sluggish to get underway as well off of the grid, so that didn't help. And now they'll all catch up again as they go through this rather wide penultimate corner. They will properly get together here and get this start underway properly. It's going to be Becky Lee Clark and Eduardo Beninca on the front row together here. Becky Lee Clark won the opening race of the season in the Pro-Am class. Beninca was 5th after qualifying 3rd in the Pro class. So let's see where they get to this afternoon. As the drivers now make their way in towards Sunset Bend, one of the few corners on this circuit that has remained right the way from this circuit's very inception in 1950. It's vastly different now, of course, even to this version back in 1985. It's a great challenge, though, here on these bumps, and we're ready to get it underway. Becky Lee Clark coming through the final corner and onto the front straight. Beninca just closing in right at the very end here, but can't afford to hang back too much. Becky Lee Clark will look to get underway pretty quickly here. Onto the front straight they go, and the second round of the virtual World Sportscar Championship here from 1985 is set to get underway, and Becky Lee Clark off to a good start, but coming through on the inside, Nicholas Kirsten having a pretty good start on the way towards turn 1, and a big dive down the inside. Already contact. Becky Lee Clark, the pole sitter, off the road in towards turn 1. Kirsten tried to go down the inside, it went 3 wide and it went wrong. Ely Clark went off the road and through to the lead. Eduardo Beninca immediately takes the opportunity and takes the lead through turn 2.
Yeah, it does at the moment. Not a great start for Ely Clark, down into 7th place at the moment as well. But Eduardo Beninca has got away and got out in front. Buta de Bruin is second, day in behind that. Herlock, Bussening Lane, and then Ely Clark behind. Not a great start for her. Didn't really get off the line. It was a little bit sluggish to get away. She allowed the of Eduardo Beninca, I think it was Herlock in behind her as well, to get alongside, and they sandwiched her 3 wide. Didn't really get going straight at the beginning. It almost seemed a little bit hesitant from Evie Clark, but I'm hoping we'll see how to get on and see whether or not they can recover.
This is the chicane, almost halfway through the straight, if you like, down here, and Eduardo Benke is absolutely flying. Look at this, 5 seconds already. Is his mountain over Valtteri De Bruin here in the second position. Then it's Herlock already up to third. Elke Bussink, then Becky Leacock rounding out the first 5. Here are the battles. It's side by side, in fact, down here. Look at this, goodness me, traffic jam. Ely Clark trying to look down the inside by look things on Bussink there for 4th place, but couldn't quite do it. And Stowe stays behind. They'll get single file, but a very lively start indeed. These drivers now work their way through the fast right-hander. Here comes Herlock, coming through on the inside line and through. Dan Herlock started down on the 4th row as he did at Daytona, but he's gone from second now. Oh, it's nearly a great save. He's clipped one of those tyre walls, and that might be bad for him. Becky Ely Clark also clipped a tyre wall there through the fast right-hander before the straight, and she looks like she's got some pretty bad damage as well.
Yeah, we were told if they hit the tyre wall, they will go into pits. They have to. It did say it was going to damage the car. The interesting thing for me is, have you seen how wide the Ormond Straight is? They can literally just go from it's like a mile wide. It's massive. I wonder how far right they could go on that circuit. But at the moment, Elko Bussink in behind Valtteri De Bruin going into 1 there as well. And here's a replay at the moment of what went on near the beginning.
Yeah, so we'll try and get a view as to what happened in towards turn 1. It was 3 into 1 and it just didn't go really. Becky Ely Clark ending up miles off the road. I'm not sure if Kirsten is going to feel like with the ones.
He let her back through.
Yeah, I suppose so. So yeah, maybe did feel a little bit like that might have been his fault, but I don't know. Ely Clark didn't have that as the worst moment though through the opening lap. Meanwhile, the leader has suddenly gone. Eduardo Benke got off to a wonderful start. He was 11 seconds in front, but already drama here. Just on lap 2, Elke Bussink leads, but he's immediately off the road down to the hairpin. And Valtteri De Bruin suddenly is going to get to the front.
Yeah, big dramas at the moment. Bussink's gone. We think Benike's gone, I should say. We're not quite sure. He's down in 8th. How he ended up there, there's another little bit of contact at the same time. Mike Bell's looking at the run into the inside at the moment, and no, Bell does not manage to get through over Benike, but actually all the way through there was something else got on there. There's a car going off into the background. There's lots of yellow flags coming out.
Yeah, and he's gone. Scarpoke's gone straight back to pit lane there. Gone straight back to pit lane, but we'll get some replays later when things have slightly eased off a little bit. Here's the fast right-hander. There's the tyre walls, by the way, that have been collecting a few. Elke Bussink in towards the penultimate corner, and Valtteri De Bruin just in behind. Then Oliver Day, who's the one really closing in here in 3rd place. Tom Lane then just a few seconds further behind. There'll be a yellow flag somewhere else. George Androlidis is the cause of that one by the sounds of it. Just inside the top 20 at the time. He was right up there in the AM standings earlier on. But he's gone off this time round, along with Jules Lalonde as well. That's a couple of the top AM drivers who have seemingly dropped through the field. But Elke Bussink leads at the end of lap number 2. A very lively start, just a second between him and Valtteri De Bruin.
And give an update, Scarpoke has DNF, George Angelidis has DNF, Gilles Lalonde's all the way down in 28th, with Wayne Hutchinson 27th. There's lots been going on as well. There was somebody with a penalty there, I just missed who that was. Nick Kirsten has got a penalty as well. I'm going to presume that could be for the incident with Evie Clark. She must have gone off again because she was riding in 8th and 9th. She's now down in 15th. So unfortunately, Evie Clark, there's also somebody sideways round the... No, he didn't make it. He's just coming in the background. That's sort of 5 down. I think that looks like Mike Bell may have taken a trip sideways as they go in through the S's of 4, 5 and 6 on the run down through into Big Ben. But we're going to try and catch up with the replays now.
Yeah, let's have a look at what happened in towards the penultimate corner for Herlock. Big slide, and he then just clips that wall there. Oh, that little bit of tyre bail, if you like. Unfortunately, or fortunately rather, he didn't have to pit after that. So he's got away with it. Where is he now in the field? He's 17th. in the overall standings, Dan Herlock. So some work to do, definitely, from there. Boucher Burn, Oliver Day and Magnus Dahlgren, meanwhile, continue to fight over second place. Just still an hour and 5 to go. It's a real dash here today. The race only a few weeks ago at Daytona was double the length of this one, but already we've got 3 retirements by the looks of things. Scott Pope, George Angelidis and Jules Lalonde all returning back straight to pit lane. We saw that Lalonde and Angelidis went off together, so hopefully we'll see that in a few moments' time when things calm down. But they are unfortunately already out of the day. Here comes Oliver Day down the inside into the penultimate corner. That's him through. Can he slow it up? Unlike Herlock when he was battling for second. Not really. He at least keeps it on the road this time, but straight back through for De Bruyn. And look at this. Dahlgren's going to try and come through. Bump both of them here. The track is so wide at this point in towards Sunset Bend that you can go free wide, but it does narrow up before you get to Sunset Bend, so they're going to have to squeeze in here. Day right in the middle of this. De Bruyn right on the outside line and through. Oliver Day goes into second place. Dahlgren also takes advantage, but he goes wide to Oliver Day. And Magnus Dahlgren goes from 4th to 2nd.
Yeah, Dahlgren moves himself out. Great move. You said they were 3 wide easily. I reckon you go for like 6 wide down the Allman. Is that wide? But Dahlgren managed to capitalise on that, taking 2 spots. Was a great job from him. We've just got a replay coming up.
This is what happened to Ross Smith to send him a long way down the field. That's too late on the brakes. And off he went into the grass, and he got repassed by a couple of drivers through the corner. So Ross Smith currently going 1 step forward and 2 steps back. He's currently 9th though in the field, over 30 seconds off the lead, I've got to say, but he is in 9th place, and that is 2nd place in the Pro-Am class. Meanwhile, yellow flag in sector 1 at the moment. Plenty of positions changes going on at the moment. It's Johnny Gutierrez who is dropping down the field rapidly at the moment, and it's he who is called the yellow flag. Unfortunately, this is down in towards the hairpin as Echo Bussing went into the lead. He immediately went off. Thankfully regained the lead pretty quickly, and he is in the lead now by over 5 seconds, but that wasn't a great way to mark the start of his stint in the lead there.
No, it was almost like he got a little bit excited about being in the lead and then ended up going off as well. There's battles down further down with Ewan and Ely Clark, and those guys are battling out. There they are on your screen now. That's 11th and 12th with Ewan and Ely Clark, and then in front of that is, funny enough, it's Troy Ewan and Ross Smith. So we've got Troy and John together. Troy, son of John. Ely Clark has just dived up the inside, can get it stopped. She can. Managed to stay there as well. Great job from Ely Clark on that one.
Just about without rear-ending Troy as well. It's always difficult when you're in a train like this to do it one by one and not rear-end somebody in front as you're trying to make a pass on the other. It's very difficult indeed. This is what happened further down the field. This is Antonis Paranopoulos, who's gone into the wall. Ouch! Ooh. That's what we saw in the background. Oh, and he got hit as well afterwards. He got hit pretty bad at the end of that. I'm amazed he's still 14th in that case, Paranopoulos, because that is a huge hit on the wall. How he got away with that, I've got no idea.
Oh, I don't know. I tell you what, Dahlgren's in pit lane though.
He is. Yeah.
Magnus Dahlgren's in pit lane already. I don't know how he would have got away with that.
He just drove through the pit lane because there's no limit. He didn't lose any time. I think he must have oversteered, corrected it, drove through the pit lane and just carried on. So I think he's fine. Based on that, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't really have any
there? Look how wide it is. How did he go from there to the pit lane? And if he's taking a shortcut, he should be penalised.
No, I don't think it's quicker, but it probably is.
I don't know. Probably not. But I think at the same time, though, yeah, I'll be very impressed how he did manage to do that. And it's a Molin behind De Bruyn, and at the moment, there they are.
He's going to have it going towards the final hairpin, or the first of the hairpins, I should say. Martin De Bruyn down the inside. He took the lead from Bussing when he went wide as earlier on as we saw. That's quite deep on the break from De Bruyn, and Molin's going to get him straight back again. Meanwhile, on replay, this is in the first sector of the lap. Oh wow! Dan Herlock finding himself up and into the air and through a wall as well, all at the same time. That was all going on there. What on earth was that about? John Ewan has unfortunately had to retire from the race as well, but that's one of the oddities with having a circuit like this, that you do get get bizarre moments. Hurlock launched into the wall. Ewan's out of the race. And so is Eduardo Minka, by the way, and Johnny Gutierrez. Already looks to be 6 retirements in a matter of minutes here.
Yeah, we're going to find out why Gutierrez retired now. Championship online for 3 classes it is, but we are only round 2. Oh, Gutierrez, there's a wall. Oh, no, there ain't. Oh,
Well,
there's a chainmail fence. What?
does the job.
Well, never mind. There we go. Went through the first one. So that'd be why Gutierrez is out. So we've just lost John Ewan as well. He's DNF'd. Benika's DNF'd. Gutierrez, Lalonde, Angelidis, and Scar Pope have all doing DNFs as well. Mike Bell's replay on your screen. I do love the look of that Jaguar. It does look gorgeous, but not in the wall like that, no.
In the wall there, down at turn 3. Getting himself back out again, and he's still 11th, by the way, Mike Bell. That was a bit wide from Day, and as we've seen already, you don't want to be running too far out wide there, otherwise you could be in trouble. Robin Molin's going to be coming through on the inside line towards turn 3, and easily through, actually. Robin Moling, second placed, is the Pro-Am leader, by the way, and so is having a fantastic day overall as well. 25 seconds admittedly off of Elka Bussing at the front of the field, but nevertheless he is in the lead of his class, which is what matters. Oliver Day now third ahead of Wouter de Bruin, who's just in behind, but the gap is tumbling to the leader. Elka Bussing has had some sort of problem, unless the time gap's just moving around anyway.
No, you are right. He's just lost nearly 10 seconds.
I'm just wondering whether that's because the timing is bouncing up and down, or whether that is actually happening in reality. Can't tell you.
Well, there's somebody in the background there as well, facing onto the track. I don't know who that was. It looked like Lane as well, possibly, but this is Jerry Chen's moment. So much to go through here. Oh, he's just run wide and bang in the tyre barrier at the same time. So, unfortunately for Jerry, not looking too good, but there was somebody else, as I say, going off in the background.
Someone's on fire, we're hearing at the moment. Not setting good lap times. I mean, literally. I don't know who it is. It's the 111 Porsche. 111 Porsche, as far as I can see, is John Ewan on pit lane, who is out the race, as far as I was aware. But yeah, he is on fire, and that's why he's out the race. Not for the first time we've seen that this season, I've got to say. Let's have another look at what happened. This is through the S's by the looks of things. In slow-mo, and there you go. There's the eruption. Just look good in this game, doesn't it, the fire? And there you go. Unfortunately, it doesn't look good for John Ewan, who is out of the day.
Yeah, I think they should have it in all sims. Fire. I think they should, because it does look good. So, a couple of people going into...
Oh, no!
He didn't even make it in. Well, he's made it in a garage, but I don't know whether that was fluke or not, to be honest. But he made
Is that
it in
his
there.
garage?
No, probably not. But he's probably in somebody else's. He's going to stop and get a cup of tea. I don't know, but that was rather spectacular.
Oh, he's gone.
Day as well. I think he's going to be a DNF after that. He's just smashed the car in the wall. So another one gone. We're losing people like flies here. I don't know what's going on.
We are. This is so tricky out here at the moment that just surviving is going to be exceptionally difficult. We knew that was going to be the case, but to this degree, I think we've been surprised as well. Oliver Day out of the race despite running so well early on, and despite finishing 4th place in the opening race of the season at Daytona. This is what happened as he followed Wouter de Bruin into pit lane, Robin Moling, excuse me. He just clipped the tyre wall on the left-hand side. You were commenting on how narrow the pit entry was earlier on. He clipped it on the left-hand side, goes through to the right-hand side, where the garages are absolutely brick wall solid. And there you have it, Oliver Day in the wall. That's his day done, although he did get himself parked quite nicely.
Yeah, he did. He just reverses straight in. Look at this. Misses the wall. The only time he has missed the wall going in pit lane. Oh, no, he even hits that one. And then parks it straight in the garage. So, great job from Oliver Day. Look, rather spectacular, I'm going to be honest. Kim D in YouTube chat, sad times. You know, there's people dropping like absolute flies. I think there's 7 out already. And we're only literally, 15 minutes in. Don't know how many we're going to get at this moment in time. Mr. Reese, welcome in, our pit lane roving reporter. track is very difficult to comprehend visually. If I had to drive here, I would take the wrong turn every lap. There you go, straight in the pit box. I think the thing is as well, though, right? You might be right on that one, Mr. Reese, but at the same time, they would have practiced. They should have practiced, and I think they would have done a great job.
You'd think they would have practiced, but certainly those early laps of practice, they would have been figuring out where on earth am I going here, as I'm sure everybody is. Meanwhile, this is that was a bit wide. Hearing that Stephen Miller's missing a front wheel, and at the moment is already a lap down, by the way, so he's hoping to get back to pit lane. Troy Ewan is just in front of these guys, Ross Smith, and then Antonis Paranopoulos in toward Sunset Bend. Ewan still in his place, holds on. Smith just in behind is Ewan looks like he's coming into pit lane, and Smith's going to try and come through. Here to Stephen Miller, coming out on through pit lane at quite high speed, and he's got no front left tyre. Right, okay.
He must know he's got no front left, right?
Well, you'd think.
It'd be like driving on rims. Sparks are flying. Oh, they are flying. Unless that's just a graphic image, and that's what we see. But he may have his tyre.
I find that difficult to believe, but it's possible.
Let's click on him live and see if he's got his tyre on there. Has he got his tyres on there? Let's have a look, see if we can get the old production engineer.
He's putting his wheel back on, probably, in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Dear. He's not very parked very well.
No, how did he end up there?
I suppose that's where his pit box is, but it's a bit of a palaver. Now, these pit boxes are not really designed to service cars during the day, because you're supposed to go through generally the whole race in one go. Here goes Ross Smith on Troy Ewan. That was a pretty easy pass, and Paranopoulos is going to try and follow him here in towards the chicane, and does. They've got to be careful of that. Stick the wall on the outside, and Smith's got to be careful of this spin. Oh, he's in the wall himself. Down through the second part of the chicane. Smith was just trying to survive the day, as he told us at the beginning. He's unfortunately slid there, though, spun into the wall, and Ross Smith down outside the top 10 for the first time.
Yeah, unfortunately for Smith now, he has dropped down the order. But as you said, he didn't want to get involved, and he unfortunately made a mistake, got himself involved in it, and now Smith has got JT Tammy for company.
Absolutely. JT Tammy finished second at Daytona, so expect to see him moving through the field at a pace over the course of the day. As we have a look at a replay. This is Mike Bell again. Oh dear. All wrong on the brakes down there at turn 3. That's exactly where he went off last time, isn't it? Mike Bell. So he drops down and is now in the top 10 at least because of Ross Smith, but he's a bit further back than where he would have been otherwise. So JT Tammy on the back of Ross Smith now in the battle for 11th place. And further down, I can tell you, back in the back end of the field, already 7 DNFs in the field. Hearing that one of the Ians has got a penalty, I suppose it's got to be Troy. He's the only one on the circuit, yeah. So Troy Ian with a penalty as well. Doesn't seem that penalties are really affecting them, because they just drive through pit lane at full speed anyway. As Ross Smith come through the final corner side by side. He got miles of space around here to run side by side, but JT Tammy through as you'd expect, and up to 11th.
They were a little bit close through the corner. Okay, a little bit close through the corner. So yeah, they could have ended up coming together as we go to another replay.
This is further down the field, and just a little bit into the grass and a spin around.
No! My God, hold your brakes.
Well, got away with it. It's fine. The Lancia back out onto the circuit. He's still running third, by the way, in the AM class behind Jerry Chen, who's leading, and Peter Meyer, who is third in the AM standings at the moment. Peter Meyer was the winner at Daytona after coming through the field and winning that one. So he will be the one to beat. As we see another yellow flag in Sector 3 here, by the way. You can see where everybody is in their respective classes at the moment. This is Scott, we're hearing, is the one who maybe went off the road down there on that previous lap. Surprised that Scott's and Gonzalez and some of the others aren't actually a lap down yet, because of how far they are off of the leader, Elko Bussing, who's, by the way, doing a very good job. 29, 30 seconds ahead of the rest of the field at the moment. This is a replay as to what happened. Oh, it's a bit wide, and it's just a spin through the penultimate corner.
Poor Roll stays. Round he goes. Never mind. Back on. Keep going. That's pretty much all we can do. Do you know this track, right? I'm almost tempted to take a car around it just to see how difficult it actually is, because these guys are making it look like it's very, very hard indeed, apart from Alco Bussink, who's out in front by 34 seconds, mind you. But everybody else look like they've really struggled, and I do wonder whether or not they sort of push the limits, should we say, of you know, over-driving the car. Let's just put it that way. As we look at Jerry Chen and Peter Meyer going for it here. But I do wonder if it is as difficult as they're making it look.
I don't know, I would say so. I think this is a series where you certainly know what you're signing up for. In a historic kind of race, you know that the cars are going to be difficult to drive and the circuits are going to be a little bit less familiar. So, yeah, I think it is probably as difficult as it looks at the moment. These are difficult cars and it's a very bumpy circuit indeed. Here comes Peter Meyer on the Jerry Chen. We know the Porsche is not very quick in a straight line, and so Peter Meyer goes straight through in the MCR Aston Martin. We were hearing that this car is probably going to have to do the least amount of fuel saving over the course of the day as well. So Peter Meyer will be enjoying that over the course of the day, and that's a change for the AM lead. Just over 20 minutes into this race, Peter Meyer through now ahead of Jerry Chen.
Yeah, look at the Jaguar XJR, look at that. Looks absolutely gorgeous on here, but he has got Tom Lane for Team Monsuvic. However, it does look a handful to drive, judging by that. Oh, no we're not, hold on. Here he is, there we go. And Tom Lane in behind, of course, with Ely Clark making her way back up into 6th place. So a great recovery from Becky. And she's just about to dive up the inside of Lane. Did she get him? I think she did get him just about. There we go. So Ely Clark did get that position on Tom Lane and moves herself up into 5th overall. So great job from Ely Clark. Now, though, unfortunately, in the C1 Pro-Ams is about 24 seconds behind Robert Molin.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Robert Molin is currently in 2nd place overall and 1st in the Pro-Am category. You only score points in your class, by the way, in this series. And you only score additional points if you're in the top 9, more than the half point you get for just finishing the race. There is the pass from Becky Ely down the inside. A little bit of contact. Got it done. In towards the chicane at the end of the lap. Doesn't actually have a name, that section of the circuit.
No.
Which is, not a great thing, but anyway. These days, that's around where Tower Corner is, but we already have a tower turn in this circuit, this version. That's turn 3. So, any suggestions on a postcard? Welcome. Meanwhile, Becky Ely Clark through turn 1 and indeed turn 2 at tremendous speed. These cars, pretty unbelievable. But she's on a charge and looking to chase down some of those in front. Nearly 4 seconds quicker than Boucher de Bruin last lap, by the way, despite that overtake being made.
Went sideways at the same time. Look, you can put answers on a postcard or suggestions on a postcard. It's not going to make a blind bit of difference because we can't get the track name changed, but it just would be fun to name it something during this race as well, and that would be amazing if we did have some name. Normally they name him after a driver who does something spectacular, you know, like Forest Elbow, Barfirst, and some of the other corners of some of the other tracks. So maybe we could name it after a driver.
This is Wayne Hutchison further down the field through Sunset Bend, getting on the power too early and going for a spin around. Hutchison is actually going to lose a place to Gonçalves not long after that. He's 21st now in the field. Nicholas Kirsten into pit lane, by the way, at the moment, and drops down the field as a result. Mike Bell is the cause of that yellow flag. Is out there on the circuit. We're basically watching replays for 1.2 hours, to be honest, because there's so much going on in the way of incidents here so far. It's very incident filled. Here is what happened to Mike Bell through the SL Sports de Bruin, through yes, that's a big jump over the curbs and goes for a big slide around the corner. And indeed he is off. Yeah, that is what's promoted a lot of the drivers up a position, because De Bruin is down to 6th place, lost a position to Tim Monsuvic, Becky Ely Clark, Tom Lane, all in one go there did De Bruin, and now he's just rejoining down at the back end.
Wow, that was very spectacular indeed, wasn't it? I think that's absolutely, that was very, very spectacular. I didn't think he'd hold it quite as well as he did do, but I think we're going to be looking at a replay of Mike Bell.
This is, in towards turn 3. That's the third time this race he's done it. We're only on lap 13. That's a 25% success rate, unfortunately, or unsuccess rate down at turn 3, unfortunately. Goes for a spin round, but still has avoided the walls each time, which is it's a good thing. Or maybe he did brush it that time round, but yeah, it wasn't hard either way. Becky Ely closes in meanwhile on Timon Subic. Last time round, 1.2 seconds quicker than him. Elko Bussing has also been off on the last lap because it's 2 minutes and a half that last lap, and so the gap's now down to 2 seconds in the field. This is Mike Bell
again.
meanwhile. Ouch! And fire to Bell, and he's out the race.
We need the marshals! Fire! Man, that fire looks gorgeous. I think it looks absolutely amazing. I think they should have that in all of them. But there's also been Mike Bell is DNF'd as well. Scott's is the 1 lap down. Yeah, that one we just watched. Stephen Miller is 3 laps down. Lots of DNF still going on at the moment. 44 minutes to go. And as Mr. Rees says, another one bites the dust. But Ely Clark moves her way back up into 4th overall. Second in class, catching up with Robert Molan.
This is very, very busy indeed. And Becky Ely Clark needs to work her way through as quickly as possible here, because Robin Moling has just made an error. So it's dropping down and further away from Elko Bussing here. This is through the S's again. Jumping over those curves. You've got to be very careful, otherwise you'll hit the wall just like that through the corner, through the S's. And that is exactly how that happened through that section. Back out onto the circuit through turn 7 and getting back underway all over again. So just less than 45 minutes to go. And that's 1/5 of the race, excuse me. Or is it 2/5? Don't know. We're at 12 laps through and just 3/4 of an hour still to go, with Elko Bussing leading the way now by 26 seconds over Timo Subic, but only 11 over Robin Moling. He did make a mistake on lap 12, but he's recovered from that, and Moling has since made a mistake, or indeed just had a slow lap, to be honest, on this most recent one. 5.2 seconds slower Robin Moling that time round.
Yeah. So we're going to have a look at the replay here. Fight fire with fire, says Mr. Riggs in YouTube. Do agree.
Here's Bussing's spin. Oh, on the brakes. And he avoided the wall. Lucky to do so as well, because the wall is very close down at that corner. So got away with that rather. But that was why Bussing was closed in on so quickly in those few moments. Adrian Rice, meanwhile, just ahead of Troy Ewan. We'll keep an eye on them, but yeah, just 22 runners remaining in the field. Just 18 on the lead lap as things stand, maybe 17 even on the lead lap as things stand. But after all, at Daytona, only 6 finished on the lead lap. Having said that, it was a shorter circuit. This is a lot more attritional, though, than what we saw at Daytona. Very, very difficult indeed. Very difficult conditions. This is Becky Ely Clark through the S's. Too fast into here again, and that's into the wall. Oh, did she just avoid them?
Yeah, she went straight through the middle.
Through the middle. Wow. That was good avoiding driving.
Yeah. It looked like she went straight through the middle there. Turn 3 should be called Mike Bell Corner.
It's not a bad idea. It's already got a name, unfortunately, but it's not a bad idea.
I think as well as we see the lovely infield and the caravans and the tents there all parked up enjoying this race, as sooner or later we might even see a car coming round. There we go.
Let's have a look on replay. I think this is Mackie's incident through the tyres. Yeah, here we go. This is the avoiding drive. Look at the presence of mind here. See the gap? Oh, I'm not going to make it. Goodness me. That was great driving. Well, not initially to go off, I suppose, but to avoid the crash was good driving. And Becky Ely Clark still in the race as a result. Second place at the moment in the Pro-Am class. This has been a battle that's been going on for a while now. Peter Meyer versus Jerry Chen. Meyer trying to stay away from Chen, and when you're in the Porter and you've not got very much straight line speed, it is hard to overtake.
Yeah, it is, and he's got to look at doing it in the corners. I just want to go back there. That Roger's probably at home now going, she doesn't react that quick when she drops some beans or something. You know what I mean? She probably doesn't react that quick picking up something. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the thing, the fact that Becky's got fast reactions in the car. I'll be interested to know if she's got fast reactions at home on that one. But Peter Meyer and Jerry Chen fighting out for C1 and first and second. I said, do you know what? It'd be really good. We have a producer that I can't hear. It just sounds like he's on freeway radio. You know what I mean? He's like, he's got more way of communicating with Morse code than he has talking. I can't hear him, single thing of him. You know what I mean? He might as well go beep, 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 and I'll write it down and try and decipher it. At the moment, I have no idea what he's saying.
Oh dear. Either way, battle for third is on at the front of the field. This is the pro class, actually for fifth overall, but third in pro, which is what's important, because these classes are scored by class and not by overall standings in the championship standings. So we will. That's what we're keeping it on the left-hand side. Tom Lane just in front of Wouter de Bruin, who had a good start to this race, up into second place early on, but has since dropped away just a little bit. Tom Lane through the chicane holds on rather well. Now a nice view on board of de Bruin. We can start to get a bit of a feel for this circuit as we try and chase down Tom Lane in the bottom right-hand side of the screen.
Yeah, we're coming down into the hairpin. So it'd be nice to see how tight this one actually is. Look how close that wall is. Oh, ouch. Into the chicane left and right. This is 9 and 10 before we go up what is Warehouse Straight, which seems a bit of a weird name, so there's no warehouse there that I can see. Before they come into 11, 12 and 13, which are very fast corners rather than what they are normally, I think.
This is the penultimate corner. It doesn't have a name, but it's after the long straight where the Le Mans chicane is these days. No chicane here though. Wouter de Bruin able to take a tighter line. Does that mean better exit? Not really, but he's still well within the slipstream here. They're both in the Porsche, so the slipstream should help him on the way towards Sunset Bend, but is it powerful enough on the way down in towards that final corner? He does move to the inside line, and Wouter de Bruin does indeed get through on Tom Lane on the inside line. Nicely done. Lane will go for the cutback maybe, and the better line on the exit. Is that going to come to anything for him? Doesn't really look like it, although de Bruin got very close there to the outside of the corner. Lane is going to come back through on the way towards turn number 1. There might be another chance. It's pretty wide, the entry towards turn 1 here, and de Bruin is indeed able to hang on. So that's the podium place now for Wouter de Bruin, just ahead of Tom Lane.
Yeah, great job from de Bruin. Tom Lane in behind. Edie Clark in there with Adrian Rice as well, tucked into 7th. So great action so far taking place. Getting very spread out at the moment. Adrian Rice in there, doing a stellar job through. That is 4, 5 and 6, that part of the circuit, with Tom Lane and Wouter de Bruin.
Yellow flag out on the circuit again through sector 1 and 2. That's for Nicholas Kirsten, who went for the lead through that one, in turn 1, but unfortunately has dropped to 19th since in the field. Let's see what happened out there on the circuit, down in towards the hairpin on the brakes, rear locking, and all the way around down in towards the hairpin. Too much speed and a spin to go with it. Down into the corner. So Tom Lane up into 3rd, and now he's got traffic between himself and Wouter de Bruin as well, because Adrian Rice is coming through in the Porsche. We've got 3rd place in the pros versus 3rd place in the pro-ams at the moment, then 4th place in pro, followed by 4th place in pro-am. The pros and pro-ams very mixed actually this time round, nearly half an hour, just over half an hour into this race. This is in towards the S's, side by side into the S's. Haven't seen this all day, and there might be a reason for that. Across the corner, straight into the sides. That Mike Bell gone straight into the side of. Oh dear, oh dear. That might. No, Bell's at the race, of course.
No, he is now. He is.
Herlock, he went into the side of.
Herlock, yeah, it might be Herlock now then, because that was a very hard hit. So, very hard hit there as well.
Well, that was the race winner from Daytona, involved in an incident here at the second race of the season. So far, he is down in 7th place in the pro standings. Meanwhile, look at this. This is Adrian Rice versus Troy Ewan, and Rice gets back through into 3rd place, ahead just in behind of Wouter de Bruin. Actually, he's just past him as well. So Rice lost a couple of places there, but has since gained one of them back. Now through the first corner they go, single file, as the sun just begins to set a little bit here, but because we're only just over halfway through the race, we shouldn't be getting darkness again for another 10-20 minutes. That's a big lock-up and a big slide for Ewan, who couldn't quite take advantage of Adrian Rice just missing the apex down there at turn 3.
Yeah, and unfortunately went off the side of the circuit at the same time. For Troy Ewan, he has dropped back off the order, so I'm sure he won't be long before he is able to get back on with Adrian Rice in front. And there you go already, running side by side. Is that a back marker involved in that one? I don't think that is Wout de Bruyne.
No, it is a back marker.
Goncalves?
Oh, big slide. It's almost like Ewan used the handbrake there to get round. I'm sure he didn't. Yeah, it could have been could have been Goncalves, to be honest. I don't really couldn't quite identify them at the time, but they're out of the way now for the likes of Adrian Rice, who is again under pressure here through the chicane. It's a very tight chicane compared to what there is there these days. It's a very gentle right and then left nowadays. I don't think there's a single car in the world that has to take a lift off through there. So very different back in the 1985 layout of this track, as they make their way out of the chicane now back onto another straight before a pretty fast open right-hander. You can see up the road just after that dip in the road, and Troy Ewan not quite as close as before. Those tyre walls, by the way, are gone, and so track limits are getting ever more lenient down there.
They are starting to disappear. That's obviously where people have obviously hit them in the process, as they're in through turn 15, the fast right-hander. Oh, Ewan got it a little bit wrong, and now on the run down into Sunset for Ewan. He's a little bit further back, 1.4 seconds back away at the moment for him, so he's going to have to try and go again. And so Antonis Paparinopoulos is in a battle with Ross Smith, as they're like half a second apart.
Well, yeah, I've gone with Paradopoulos, and he hasn't corrected me. So either he feels sorry for me, or he's not seen. Meanwhile, down in towards at the final corner, Ross Smith will be under pressure. We'll get back to that though, because more goings on down in towards the hairpin. I think this is just after Big Bend, turn 8. Too fast on the way in. That is Goncalves, by the way. Very nearly getting himself into the wall. That's actually Cole Stroll, apparently. They're in the same number. That's not helpful. That's good. Meanwhile, Ross Smith did hang on in towards the final corner, and at the moment hanging on to a top 5. I mean, for a driver who was challenging up in the podium places early on, now to be just clinging on for a top 5, but you'd think Ross Smith would be a little bit disappointed with that. However, he told us at the start of the day he just wants to finish the race, and at the moment he's on his way to doing that with just over half an hour to go.
Yeah, he is, which is important for him. Obviously, he had that incident earlier on, lost a few places, but at the moment for Smith, he's doing what he said to do. He's sitting in 10th place and got Paparinopoulos in behind him, and he seems to be having fun. As long as he keeps it on the racetrack, I think he'll be happy.
On replay, we'll get back to live pictures in a couple of moments' time. And we will get back to it in a few moments' time. Still leading the race is Elko Bussing at the moment, I can tell you, with 6 seconds over Robin Moling. They're both leaders of their class, by the way. Bussing is at the front of Pro, Robin Moling at the front of Pro-Am. They've both got very big leads in their classes, but they are racing one another for the race win, and at the moment Moling is the one closing on Elko Bussing by 1.2 seconds. This is a battle for 5th. Meanwhile, in Pro-Am, they're 11 seconds off 4th, and Troy Ewan, who got past these guys not that long ago, and now Paparinopoulos is trying to come through on Ross Smith as well in towards the penultimate corner. Not going to happen there, and at the moment he does seem to be struggling a little bit to overtake. Now that they're on the Ullman straight, maybe there's a bit more of a chance here. The Jaguar should be a lot quicker than the Porsche in a straight line, as we've seen time and time again so far this season. Down in towards Sunset Bend, he's not close enough by the looks of things to really make a move.
No, nothing in that Jaguar that could do about that Porsche. I'd be interested. Paul just mentioned it in our Aero. I do wonder if they've got any lighting, because obviously in modern day Sebring we've got cat's eyes. I've got a funny feeling if we get dark, we're not going to be able to see nothing. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Oh,
No.
where are you going? He's broken, isn't he? Nick Kirsten's?
Maybe?
Oh, he's got to be. Look at. Oh, is he? Maybe.
Maybe not.
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe all right. Yeah, that would look very weird, actually. So he was sort of bouncing from one side of the circuit to the other. But anyway, he's carrying on. Meanwhile, through the S's comes Ross Smith again, with Antonis Paparinopoulos just in behind. And he got very close to the wall there, actually, in the Jaguar. Will there be a move down in towards the hairpin? Maybe here with just over half an hour to go. He's close enough for a lunge if he wants to have one. He's broken quite late. Oh, he very nearly had to go down the inside there. He locked up just to make sure he didn't go into the back of Ross Smith. But look at that, the shadows very much appearing across the hairpin now. It's not a circuit that's really covered by trees other than down there at the hairpin, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But the sun getting low, and with the flatlands around this circuit here in Florida, there's no hills in Florida, as we know, and so the sun in certain places will be right in everyone's eyes.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if we get an onboard of the lap to see where we're going to get blinded. As you say, it's going to come down and literally should be just dead flat across the windscreen. What they can see is going to be a different question, isn't it? I think that's the thing for Smith and Paparinopoulos, whether or not they're going to be able to see. I think it should be coming into the final corner of Sunset. Wouter de Bruin just past Tom Lane.
Looked very wide from de Bruin, actually, through there, but here we go. Over the line. Tom Lane in third ahead of de Bruin. There he is in the purple and the orange. Now on the podium, just under a minute actually off of Elko Bussink, who's absolutely dominating at the moment. Bussink didn't really feature towards the front of the first race of the season, to be honest. Ended up finishing, where did he finish in the field? Yes, 17th overall, 15th in class, apparently. So only a half point for finishing the day. Suddenly, come here to Sebring, and he's having a much better time of things. This is, meanwhile, Tom Lane with Adrian Rice just behind him, actually, looking to take over sixth position. Again, Pro and Pro-Am. Another battle going on between these guys as the two classes here, the top two classes, sort of just mixed together, it seems, at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to bring you the overall on the left-hand side. We'll be able to tell you how everybody is mixed in. But C1 Pro for Elko Bussink leading, then C1 Pro-Am and Molin and Clark. Pro, Pro-Am, Pro, all the way down into 11th. And then we've got the C1 AMs from 15th onwards with Peter Meyer, Jerry Chen and Carl Strawhall. So a good mix, I think, at the moment. The problem is the track is proving to be more difficult than what some of these are probably thinking it is. So therefore, there's no real set order of who is or who should be where, unfortunately. They're just mixing it in with the amount of DNFs at the bottom. Everybody's going to be mixed up, I think, for probably the next 27 minutes.
I think so. It's very likely indeed that we're going to have a mixed up field to the very end, but it's been an entertaining one so far. The 1.2 hours of the Sebring circuit here in the Virtual World Sportscar Championship, historic season, taking us back to 1985. Our next round, by the way, it's going to be at Mugello, which is going to be very interesting indeed. Exactly 3 weeks today for 250 kilometres. It's going to be very difficult, I've got to say, at that rate. It's a very twisty circuit. I mean, goodness knows what it looked like back in the day. Even now, it's a very difficult circuit, challenging circuit with not much runoff, much like an old school circuit. So very excited to see what happens there. Peter Meyer versus Jerry Chen, by the way, still going on for the AM lead, down in 15th place. Peter Meyer won the AM class from 18th in the opening race at Daytona, but despite the fact he's more advanced this time round, he is under a bit of pressure here as the sun continues to set and the headlights really start to make an impression on the circuit. Look at this. This is Ross Smith and Paparinopoulos, meanwhile, coming over the line to start another lap.
Yeah, they are to go over the line into the left-hander. Lights are on now. Oh, run wide. And yeah, I think there might have been, yeah, it is in behind them, Herlock running wide. But as the lights drop, I'll be interested to see how visually much we're going to be able to see here, because I think this is going to be a very, very difficult.
This is Roger De Bruyn and Tom Lane's battle in the lower part of the, the third place, I should say. De Bruyn down the inside briefly, but broke way too late. And he found himself, where's that camera? Just me. Through the final corner, he gets back on again, but just broke too late, really, for the final turn. And so drops away. This, meanwhile, is live pictures, and look at the quickness with which the sun goes down here. Smith versus one of the Jaguars going through there. That's Magnus Dahlgren coming back through the field into 10th overall. Herlock is next in the queue. Then it's Papadopoulos, who's just hoping, I think, that these pros just get out his way and go through on Ross Smith, which they are now doing.
Yeah, I think he's just going to want to make sure that he can just keep it on the racetrack, stay out of the way, let them go for him, and we'll find out how far Antonis can get up the order. We've got a penalty for Dan Herlock. At the same time, I can also inform you on Mugello, from today's layout to the 85 layout, there's no difference whatsoever. It's not changed since 1974.
It does make sense, doesn't it? First, the way it looks. Not too surprised to find out that. Now we are really starting to get into the darkness. It's getting a little bit difficult to see out there on the circuit, to be honest. This is Stacey Scott's through the S's. Immediately you can see that was too quick, but avoids the first wall, then gets into the second one, just containing everybody's caravans. Just a scrape along the wall, and thankfully nothing too major, and hopefully an avoidance of damage there. Look at all this. This is a real mess down here as Dan Herlock comes into pit lane. Now, is he going to come out straight side by side with these guys again as he comes through the pit lane? He's going to be immediately on the outside of them. Not quite. Papadopoulos is going to get through, but coming through on all of them here is one of the faster cars on the inside. No, now Herlock is at the back end of this group. He's now 13th, but
who dropped out again there? I've got a funny feeling we may have lost Mr. O'Leary again.
I think I'm here.
Oh, okay. You're back. That's fine. I'm sure you cut out mid-sentence then.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't happen again. I thought he'd gone away.
It's all right. We have got Stacey Scott's as a DNF. So another one gone as well. 22 minutes to go. Bussink, Suvik are 1 and 2. Elko Bussink, and Robert Molin are 1 and 2 there. Not quite sure why that says. Unless that's 1 and 2 in their class, isn't it? Yeah, in their classes in the bottom right hand side. So Moling is in first place with Bussink sitting in second.
Well, yeah, overall that is true, yeah, but in the classes, Bussink is still leading by nearly a minute now over Timon Subic, so that's what he's going to be worried about. You do score points on a class-based system here, so it does make sense. There's your battle, though, overall. Bussink now back ahead of Molin again in towards turn 3, I think that must have happened, but Bussink keeps making a couple of errors and then dropping behind Molin, or at least letting Molin back into the fight, but with 22 minutes to go, he's back through again. Let's have another look what happened into the S's. It's a bit of an early turn in, a bit 2 goes at a turn in. It's really bumpy through there as well, isn't it, on that outside curb? And there's the contact with the wall.
Yeah, and that seems to be the flashpoint, doesn't it, of everything that's really taken shape today. We see more. I wish some of the caravans put the lights on. That would be ideal for us, as the cars are going to come around the corner there. With Bussink now back in front of Molin again.
There's the look at that battle for 11th again. Ross Smith still at the head of it somehow. Dan Herlock's got himself past Papadopoulos, but has he got himself past Smith? Not for the moment. Here's through in towards turn number 2. Gonna try and gain some time here for a move at Tower Corner, maybe. Doesn't look like it for now. He will have to stay behind in towards turn 3. now follow through the S's. We've seen plenty of mistakes through here in these last few moments, especially. It's been the real sticking point for everybody here through the corner. You just can't get a bit too wide, otherwise you'll be bouncing yourself over those curves on the outside. Thankfully, these three have avoided that. And here comes Herlock now. He's going to be looking for 11th. Down the inside he goes on Ross Smith. The race winner from Daytona has not had the perfect day by any means, but he is down the inside on Smith and through as Herlock gets a bit of a tap from Papadopoulos as they went into the corner.
Yeah, he did. I think they were very, very close to it on that one. I don't think there was quite a... There might be no... Oh, no. What happened there?
Well, we'll find out later, I suppose.
Come back after the break.
Oh, here we go. And he's... Well, did they go side by side through there the whole way? I'd be impressed if they did. I'm not likely to believe it either, to be honest. But here they go into a much more sensible corner for side-by-side racing. It's the end of the straight, the warehouse straight, and in towards the chicane at the end of it. Papadopoulos finally through. He has been working on that for quite a while, and that's a few positions lost for Ross Smith in the last few moments.
Yeah, he's been going like that, hasn't he? Papadopoulos has been going for that for quite a while. So it's taken him a little bit of an age to try and get that pass done, but he did manage to get it done over Smith there, set him up and finished it, got the job done on him. So fair play to it on that one.
Now then, what's happened to... We are not... and I'm not... Oh, hello. We'll just rewind the old-fashioned way. Robin Molin off through... he clipped the inside that wall, sorry, that's why. Went a bit wide. It's awkward getting back onto the circuit again, isn't it?
It's very, very bumpy in and around it, isn't it? And that's the thing. You know, what we're expecting to be flat, like you saw when he come off the side of the circuit, he dropped down and then had to bounce his way back up. So not good on damage. As Ross there is...
Adrian Rice is having a long stop now. Why is he doing that? You don't need to stop. He is stopping, though, with 19 minutes to go, and he's gifted these two a place in the standings for Pro-Am. They're now 5th and 6th. Why is Adrian Rice deciding to come into pit lane at this stage? I do not know, but he's been there for more than 3/4 of a minute now. He's going to go a lap down. So... we'll get to the bottom of that when we can, but as I say, you don't need to stop here. The only time you'd really see stops is when damage is gone. And I'm happy to report that we haven't really seen damage or indeed retirement from anybody for a while. Mike Bell was the last retirement in this race. Well, that does still bring the total to 8, which is nearly double what we had at Daytona in a race double the length.
Well, it seems crazy that a circuit that like this has caused so many dramas with it. As I said, I'm sure it's very difficult to drive, but it has caused a lot of dramas for these guys to go through.
Now then, here's the side-by-side we were watching earlier on between Papadopoulos and Ross Smith. So he did have a peak down the inside at the first bit of the chicane, and then he had a proper go into the next one, which doesn't have a name, after the warehouse straight, where he was a lot more successful in making his move. But it's quite a well thought out move, to be honest. Papadopoulos has been behind Ross Smith for a very long time, and now finally moves through up into 4th place. He's only 2.5 seconds or so off, and now less than a second off of Troy Ewan, because he's gone off. Troy Ewan's off. Papadopoulos is through into the podium places.
Yeah, he's gone through. Unfortunately for Troy Ewan, lost a place to Ross Smith at the same time. And he's now down in 12th place for Troy Ewan. More drama by the sounds of it being shouted in our ear. Oh, Stacey, nope, she's still going.
It's probably Troy Ewan, to be honest, based on the fact he's just lost a couple of places. There he is. How has he found himself there? Where even is he? This is the penultimate corner. Outside line. He's, well, that's way too late on the brake. Probably can't see where he's going, to be honest. And he was followed there as well. So ends up in the grass, which is quite impressive in itself, around that corner. Had a long way off of the circuit, then tries to get back on again. And rejoins. It's one of those, ouch. That's one of those tyre barriers that is sort of strewn across the circuit now. Now he tries to weave between them to get back onto the circuit, and he hits another one of them, and he goes upside down. Oh dear, Troy Ewan from bad to worse to very bad, or even worse, or terrible, or whatever you want to call it. He's upside down, and he's probably out of the race.
Disastrous. Catastrophic. A nightmare. 3 others for you. But Ewan has DNF'd. There's another one. We've got down to 21 runners and riders left in this with 15 minutes to go here at Sebring. As we go to a replay once more.
Turn 3 again.
Yeah, I can't make out who.
No, I can't make out who it was, but just went
Kirsten.
a bit wide. It's a pretty miserable race, Nicholas Kirsten, unfortunately, after qualifying on the second row. Still in the race, though, unlike Troy Ewan. Meanwhile, battle for 5th place between Roger De Bruin and Tom Lane is on. It's actually the only battle on the circuit now as we wind down toward the end of it. Less than 15 minutes to go. There's traffic as well for De Bruin to negotiate here in towards Tower Turn. He gets through, as does Tom Lane. And that traffic stays out the way, and this is for a pretty advanced place in the pro field as well. 3 points between 2 points rather between 3rd and 4th in the field through the S's they go. Tom Lane with a bit of a narrower line. That's not going to end up with the run there on the exit because of the line he's taken, but he's certainly putting the pressure on Wouter De Bruin here with just less than a quarter of an hour to go.
Yeah, this is obviously a battle for 3rd in class, so it's the last of the podium runners between De Bruin and Tom Lane. So we're going to find out how these are going to go. Got to give De Bruin props for his livery. It does shine quite nicely in the dark. As Lane is going to put him under pressure. 4 attempts, 5 attempts, 6 attempts, 7. Well, it goes up and down quickly as anything there as they're coming in for 11, 12 and 13.
Now, this is the real tight section where we've seen that pass from Papadopoulos earlier on. Tom Lane not too close though this time round. They're over a minute, by the way, off the lead of Elko Bussing in the pro class, who's really only racing with Robin Moling. They're 8 seconds apart. Not sure they're going to get together before the end of the race again, but Bussing is certainly on his way to a victory. Tom Lane's flashing the lights. They'll go through the 3rd last corner, and Wouter De Bruin will hang on to 3rd again, and the car, indeed. And then on the other part of the screen, Papadopoulos, I think that is just him. Oh, no, it is. First one. Ross Smith in 11th place, just in mind. That's the battle for the last spot inside the top 10 overall, and the last spot inside the podium in the Pro-Ams. Good luck seeing where you're going.
Don't know. It's these guys with De Bruin and Tom Lane. Have we lost Ross Smith, have we? Oh, just heard a shout of where did Ross go, and he's still there. And he was on a in that fight with Papadopoulos, and unfortunately said we've now got that settled down. We've got a yellow in sector 2. But with De Bruin and Tom Lane still in that 3rd and 4th place, as I believe this is Tom Hutchinson.
Yeah. Wayne Hutchinson. I'm not sure who you know is called Tom. Anyway,
Tom Lane. Tom Lane.
Towards, it's the chicane.
Hold on a minute. You're bashing me, Mr. O'Leary. You're the 5-1 for creating love children behind drivers.
I do mix up names sometimes, but not that time. Hutchinson just a bit of a spin. He at least avoided the wall there through the chicane, because we've seen how deadly that can be earlier on in the day. That was avoidance that time round, though. Wayne Hutchinson currently running in 18th, by the way, in the AM classes 4th at the moment. Tom Lane, meanwhile, in the back of Wouter De Bruin, and they are catching with Timon Suvic here for 2nd place in the class and 4th place overall. Last time round, De Bruin was 8 attempts quicker. Tom Lane was 6 attempts quicker. This could be on for 2nd place.
Yeah, it's the 2nd, 3rd and 4th battle. Bottom right hand corner, we've got Peter Marl and Cole Strawhall. I tell you what, if Timon keeps doing that, he's going to be in trouble. I think that's is that still Stephen Miller in there? Yeah, that is Stephen Miller's livery in the green and, well, he's like an off orange, but he's still there. Steady, there's tyres on the outside for Timon, does manage to miss them. but is now in behind Miller, who he's going to be wanting to try and get past.
Why is... There's some time gaps that are crashing down at the moment for some reason. Yeah, I was going to say something weird's happening to De Bruyn in the timing screen. That's... oh, he's DNF now as well. Wow. That would be a huge disappointment. If he is actually going to be out for good here, that's a huge disappointment for De Bruyn. He's running the top 3 most of the day. And at the very end, it could be heartbreak for him. This is... oh, he's just pulled off the circuit. This looks like a technical. He's braking and he is stuck, I'd imagine. Oh, where? Oh, he's completely gone. So, well, I'm not sure entirely how he ended up back pit lane eventually, but he drove off the road. Looked like a technical issue to me. Tried to stop it in the end by braking, but ended himself sort of got stuck somewhere, really.
It did unfortunately look like for him. He's back in pit lane and DNF'd and out for De Bruyn. I'm sure we'll find out what went on there. Suvic and Lane, they're continuing for second and third in the C1 Pros, and then we've got obviously Paparinopolis and Smith fighting it out for third in the C1 Pro-Ams. So we'll see if Smith can get a podium here. He is ahead of Rice by a lap, so he should be good to be able to get that. Oh, Simon's made a mistake. That's going to bring Lane right into him.
Second place, the battle will continue on, and Subic is going to do well to even finish on the on the podium here, because JT Tami is not too far away either. This is not looking great for Timon Subic. It's again exactly the way that JT Tami did Daytona. Really didn't see too much of him throughout the day, but suddenly he was up there towards the end. Finished second that day, only 8 seconds off the win after qualifying 13th. Qualified barely inside the top 20 today. Now all of a sudden he's got a sniff of a podium again with just less than 9 minutes to go. It's been a race of domination for Oko Bussink though in the Pro class. It's now 75 seconds ahead of Timon Subic, and the gap grows even further. He's just got to keep it on the road.
Yeah, he's done a great job, hasn't he, Bussink? He's just motored away and left these guys to it. Even now, Suvic was slowly opening up the gap to Tom Lane. Tom in that Porsche seems to be bringing him in absolutely mightily down that straight, as he's got a gap down to about a second, and Lane just on the left-hand side there, closing in him into about 9. Oh, it's fluctuating so much at the moment, but yeah, Suvic could be under pressure from Lane going into the end of this. JT Tami not too far back from that one is either.
We'll continue to follow the battle here. So I haven't talked about the AMS for a while. Just run that before the end of this race as well. It's not likely to change much, but it probably will now I've read them out. Joey Chen is leading the way at the moment, ahead of Carl Stroll and Peter Myers down to third, only a second behind. I'll get back to that because Tom Lane is absolutely alongside Timon Subic here on the way in towards the S's. Someone's going to have to back out of this. Someone's going to have to just tuck in behind, and it's going to have to be Subic, because Lane's on the inside line and he's through. And now we've got a big problem with JT Tami coming through as well here, maybe, for Timon Subic. He's got to try and hold him behind. Coming through on the inside line. Tami's just on the inside. He just had that tiny bit of room there. He just squeezed himself through into turn 7. And look at that. As quick as you like, Timon Subic has gone from second place and looking comfortable on the podium to off the podium with 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, and he literally just got bullied out there. Lane put him offline. JT Tami jumped all over him, and JT got through, and that was it for Timon Subic. He was down into fourth, chasing his tail, trying to put his socks back on after somebody's nicked his trainers, because he was just flat out bullied out of that second position between them two. I don't know what he's going to be able to do, whether or not he's going to be able to fight his way back up into that second place, because clearly the others have got pace on him. But for Subic, he's got to try and recover. He can't sit back and think, oh God, I've lost 2 places, I've got to get back. He's got to now just drive it on track and keep that Jaguar going in the right direction smoothly, and see if he can catch the cars in front, because at the moment, 6 minutes to go, and he's only going to have about 3 laps to do it, and he isn't really going to be able to get that job done, as he's gone from second to fourth.
This is disappointment for Subic right at the very end of the day. And where is he going to finish? He was only 17th at the opening round of the season. So it's still a big improvement on that, but even so, it's quite a long way back for the moment. Meanwhile, let's have a look at a replay. Down towards the S's here. Whoa, that's too quick. Oh, whoa! Oh, my word, and that's going to smack the wall just before the caravans. That's rare to find yourself all the way out there. Nicholas Kirsten again in now 17th overall, by the way, and a very long way down the field.
Yeah, unfortunately for Kirsten, I think there could be a DNF. He hit that pretty darn hard. So for Kirsten, I'd be very surprised if he's managed to carry on. It may look like he has, I think, carried on, so he may have got away with that one. But boy, oh boy, did he smack that rather hard on there. But Suvik can't get back on the back end of Tammy. And unfortunately, he might have to settle for fourth here.
Yeah, I think he will do. In these final 5 minutes, he's the one who's seen the momentum go away from him. JT Tammy is the one on the march, just as he was at the end of the race at Daytona. He's now second in the field. Sorry, he was second at Daytona. He's now third in this race, I should say. A couple of podiums, which would be very nice for him. The only driver to finish on the podium twice in Pro. As they make their way through the chicane now. Suvik continues to try and follow. That's Becky Ely Clark just up in front of them, by the way. Pretty sure who's a lap down now to second place in the field. Excuse me, yeah, it's must be somebody else. Can't be Becky Ely Clark in the field, can it? No, probably not.
She's in there, but she's looking like a little bit further up. Pit lane for Bussink, or, well, drive-through. He's just gone hurtling through, I think. That's Strawhall and Meyer battling it out in second and third for the C1 AMS. As these guys continue in the fight, come down to about below half a second and now fluctuating out again.
Through into the down at the end of the warehouse straight for this battle for second. Castro was pretty comfortable over Peter Meyer actually earlier on, but has since become a lot less comfortable, I would have thought, in the last few moments, because Meyer is really closing in here, just over a second behind. Tammy versus Suvik, only a second apart as well at the moment. As that looks like the run on towards the front straight. It is indeed for this group. So I don't think that is Becky Leclerc in front of these guys, but it might be. Bussink versus Marling, by the way, for the overall lead of this race is pretty nose to tail at the moment as well. Just 3 minutes to go. Are we going to see an overall leading battle here for the race win? Bussink had a lap that didn't count last time round. It's Tom Lane, by the way, second place. He had a lap that didn't count last time round, Bussink, and so probably is going to have to defend here for the final 2 laps. Now, is it going to be 2 laps or is it going to be 3? We heard from Ross Smith at the start of the day that some of these fuel games might be about whether you do a certain amount of laps or maybe one more than what you're expecting. Robin Marling and Elke Bussink might well be thinking about that at the moment, because they're in towards the final few corners right now. Are they going to squeeze another 2 laps out of this, the bottom right, or is it going to be final lap next time round?
It's going to be really close, I think, for these guys as well, with the fact that their lap times have been like 2:15 last times around. They're not great, or much lower than that, so they're in and around the same sort of area. But we need to pick up on Bussink and whether or not it's going to be the final one. Then the bottom right, here we go, down onto the, over the line we're going to see, not sure.
Through onto the start of another lap. So, is this the last lap or not? It's going to be, it might be, you know. It might well be. So this is going to be absolutely on here between Bussink and Marling. Depends how much Robin Marling wants to win this race overall as a Pro-Am, to be honest, because it doesn't really matter for points for these two. It doesn't actually matter at all who wins the race, but I'm sure they both like to. Bouncing over the S's for the very final time, perhaps, of this race. And now through Big Bend in towards the hairpin. Marling's too far back here. He's going to have to do something through the second half of this lap, where it is a little bit more difficult to overtake. Maybe at the end of the warehouse straight there'll be a chance for him.
Yeah, through the hairpin they go. They're going to come into the right-left chicane, and before he can see if he can get a hold of him down into turn 11. But Robert Molin at the moment He's got an opportunity to win overall as an AM. It's going to be massive to see on that one. We lost Nick Kirsten, but he's had a bit of a rotten one. We can't really compound his misery anymore. Hasn't looked like he's gone round. Is he going to be able to get him into here? It doesn't look like it. Ullman maybe down into Sunset.
It's going to have to be. Is there enough speed in that Porsche to come through? Moling is going to be, of course, in the same car pretty much here, so it's going to be very difficult for him to gain anything manufacturer-wise. If he was in a car other than the Porsche, then maybe there was a chance, but it's going to have to be all on the circuit. 30 seconds still to go here. Is it going to be checkered flag this time round or not? It looks like it is going to be. So, through the penultimate corner for Moling. He's not quite close enough. I don't think his run was quite good enough through that penultimate corner. And Elko Bussink surely is going to be heading to a race victory at Daytona for Bussink. It was a race of misery, really. 15th place down at the very end of the day. But here today, he's been pretty dominant. He's led most of the laps, especially after taking the lead very early on in the day. Out of Sunset Bend, he now comes as time elapses. Elko Bussink is going to win the 1.2 hours of Sebring here in the Virtual World Sportscar Championship, just ahead of the Pro-Am winner, Robin Moling, who pushed him all the way.
Yeah, he did. He finished that second. Really, probably doesn't give him credit of how much he put Bussink under pressure there. I think Lane is going to survive and come through in second in class with Tummy in third, and then the Pro-Ams Molin, Ely Clark, and Smith. But this is the final rundown for Tom Lane. Through Sunset they go. He's going to be able to come over. No, this is the rundown. Sorry, down the Ullman. And I think JT Tammy's too far back. He's not going to be able to get him. Tom Lane, 1 corner to go. Should take second place in the C1 Pros.
Oh, you think so, but he's got another corner to go, and one of the most difficult indeed as well, through Sunset Bend. And he looks like he's negotiated quite well. So Lane will finish second. JT Tammy will be third. Another great drive from him through the field. Looks like that's becoming a bit of a trademark from him. And Timon Suvic will do the same as well. Actually ending in pit lane for whatever reason. Ross Smith is back in front of Angelis Paparanopoulos for some reason. So that could be a third place for him at the end of the day. Further behind, by the way, I believe Jerry Chen has crossed the line to win in AM. And so that's a great job from him, just ahead of Peter Meyer, who won at Daytona in the opening round. Ross Smith, meanwhile, makes his way into the final corner. Looks like it's going to be a podium. He said to us at the start of the day that he'd just like to get to the end of the day. Well, at stages, he certainly would have believed that that wasn't going to be the case, but he has made it to the end eventually through this final corner. And Smith does indeed take a podium as long as he can beat Papadopoulos to the line. Looks a bit sluggish off the final corner, but he's fine. He is going to take that third place just ahead of Papadopoulos in the end.
Yeah, great job from Swift there. Podium on the board, probably better than more than he could wanted here.
Let's have a look at the race results from the 1.2 hours of Sebring here from the Virtual World Sportscar Championship Historics. It's Elko Bussink who wins overall ahead of 1 and 2 in the Pro-Am class. Robin Moling and Becky Ely Clark, who took the pole position for the second round in a row. Tom Lane and JT Tammy round at the top 5, and the podium in the pros. Timon Suvic, Magnus Dahlgren and Daniel Hurlock were next in the pros, with Ross Smith running at the podium for Pro-Am ahead of Antonis Paparanopoulos in 10th place overall and 4th in the Pro-Am class. 11th was Alexander Stoltz with Adrian Rice in 12th place. Jerry Chen won in the AMs just ahead of Peter Meyer, the winner at Daytona, and Carl Struhl finished 15th. Roger de Bruin dropped to 16th towards the end, with Nicholas Kirsten unfortunately DNFing right at the very finish, so it won't score any points actually at the end. You've got to cross the line under your own steam. Wayne Hutchison and Vinicius Gonçalves also finished 1 lap down. Stephen Miller was 3 down by the end of the day. Further back, Stacey Scott's also got to the finish, and unfortunately our DNFs were very, very large indeed. Troy Ewan, Mike Bell, John Ewan, Eduardo Beninca, Johnny Gutierrez, Jules Lalonde, George Angelidis, Scott Pope, and Oliver Day. Unfortunately, most of those coming very early on in the race, and you'd be forgiven for thinking, James, after the first 20 minutes or so, there might not be very many left at the finish, but actually, at the second half of the race was much, much better for attrition. We got over 20 to the line.
Yeah, when we started seeing them all falling off, I'm sitting there thinking, blimey, are we going to get like half half out, half finished. But they seem to have all settled down the more they got into it. You know, once they've got through the laps and started knowing where they've got to go and braking and things like that, they seem to have managed to get through. So a great job from all. It was looking quite scary at the beginning.
It certainly was, and indeed at the end as well, as it got very dark indeed. It feels like these first two races of the season are very much sort of their own, if you like. They are timed races, 2.4 hours at Daytona and 1.2 here at Sebring. We've had darkness, we had a whole day-night cycle at Daytona, and now we've had a day-to-night cycle to the end of this race here at Sebring. It feels like the rest of the races, or quite a lot of the others, feel a lot more regular in so many ways. And, just laps, just 250 kilometres, a lot less darkness as well, which is surely going to help everybody get to the end of more races, hopefully.
Well, then we go to Le Mans.
Yeah.
Which is going to get the dark day night cycle again, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and then after that, we should be good with Monza, Silverstone, Hockenheim, Mosport, Spa, Brands Hatch, Fuji, Sandown. They're all the same. Sandown's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
I do wonder how that's going to work out, because that is scary even in the modern day circuit. What it was like back then, well, it's going to be even more. You've got me intrigued now. I'm going to have a look. 84 to 201. Oh, not
different?
No, I can't really see any difference.
Okay. Well, either I like the current circuit, to be honest. So yeah, I'll be a fan of that. I know it is different.
No,
it's definitely different.
We'll be on the national circuit,
maybe it's not.
or the international circuit.
Maybe it just looks a bit wrong to me. Maybe it is. Maybe it is normal.
It depends if we're doing the international or the national, because the national international in '84, obviously there's no international now. So if they're going to do the international circuit, we peels in at turn 6 and goes in for 7, 8, 9, comes out again in like a V shape. But if they're going to do the national, there's no real difference to the modern day circuit that it is now. So it'd be interesting to see which version they sort of do here.
The Group C's did both back in the day, so God knows.
Well, we'll find out when we log into the server then, won't we?
We certainly will, or maybe a bit sooner than that, but certainly not soon, because that is coming in December, a little bit later on in the season. By the way, if you want some reference on how long the tournament take, tonight we did 249, so it's going to be about similar to what we had here tonight at Sebring. Well, we've been chatting away. We've had some drivers join us now in the waiting room, so we can quickly chat to them. Starting with Robin Merling, who's won in the Pro-Am class. Congratulations, Robin, on a successful evening for yourself. Just tell us about those last few laps there as you were chasing it on an overall win.
It was really fun, and I know Elko a lot, and we were chatting all throughout this, and we were having like really fun battling at the end. I really enjoyed that, and I'm very happy for him to win it. But obviously, I would have also liked to liberate that position off of him at the end there, but didn't quite manage to do that.
It was second place for you at Daytona in the Pro-Am class. How do you feel going into this season, knowing what the car was like and I guess knowing what this series is going to be like as well? What were you expecting from the season?
Well, I'm looking forward to the season. First of all, like my first season in CMS was last year, and I did enjoy the historics last season, but I never got into like a rhythm where I attended every round. So that's like my target for the season, like trying to make every race, go take it step by step, take it easy, not taking too many risks. And Daytona was a bit of a tricky one because the Porsche didn't really have the top speed, but today the Porsche felt amazing to me, and I had a lot of fun. Sending it around these blind corners on this track. But yeah, I mean, I got to keep the momentum up, I think, and just take it step by step. I mean, 2 podiums is a really good start of the season, I think. So looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you there. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, of course, the other guys that managed to win their classes, especially Elko with that race win, like well deserved to him. And you guys for the commentary as well. Thank you. I'm looking forward to watching that stream back. So, yeah.
Well, thanks very much. Congratulations on the win in class, Robin, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thank you, and enjoy your evening, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Robin Rowling there, the winner in the Pro-Am class, just ahead of, or behind indeed, of Elko Bussing, who won in the Pro class here tonight. Congratulations, Elko, on the win. You got the lead pretty early on in a very mad start to the race. Just what did you make of those opening laps?
Yeah, thank you very much. Man, the opening lap, well, the opening 3 turns were chaos. People just going off left, right, and center. I just had to make a way through, and that happened quite nicely, actually. I think in lap 2 I got the lead. I was a bit surprised because I thought it was P3 and I overtook Wouter. But I think it was Oliver Day who was somewhere on the side of the road just watching the race go by. But yeah, it was chaos from the get-go.
Yeah, it certainly was. And eventually you were able to take the win, holding off Robin overall for the win as well. Just what were you expecting from tonight? Because this is such a different result for you from Daytona.
Well, yeah, there's been a bob change, but so I went in like, yeah, okay, there will be a tiny bob change, and it seemed to be a quite big bob change. What was I expecting? I wasn't expecting that much, actually. The qualifying wasn't too bad, but I was expecting to stay in like P6, fighting in Sector 1 and then losing in Sector 2 and 3, basically. But I could get the lead, and then I could get away far enough where there was no issue, where they could overtake me on the straight. And then halfway down the race, Robin started pushing me very, very hard, and it was very intense to keep in front. Well,
congratulations on finishing in front and getting the win here tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Well, actually, Robin Merling, because he made my setup. So he gave me a setup. So very thankful for that, and also you guys for keeping this awesome 85 season alive and making this happen. As SGS and CMS, it's awesome.
I bet he regrets giving it to you now. But anyway, congratulations on the win, and thanks so much for coming to chat to us.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day or evening.
Thanks very much, Ilko Bussing there in the victory for Pro drivers. Jerry Chen won in the AM here tonight. We can chat to him now as well. Congratulations, Jerry, on the win in the AM class. It was 4th place for you at Daytona, but 1st place today, just hanging on from the likes of Peter Meyer, who was in 2nd place here today. How did you find it out there at Sebring?
Yeah, it was really fun, especially when it got dark. You couldn't, once the cones were gone, you couldn't see the inside line. So it was a little kind of blind face sometimes when you turn in for the corners. But yeah, Peter and I had awesome fun there the first 20 laps, just going back and forth, and Carl too for the first 10 laps. So I didn't have the pure lap time to match Carl and Peter. On the Almond Straight, they would just fly by me. So every time I'd have to just be brave and try and pass them through Sector 1 through the fast turns there. But it was so much fun with Peter. And then, just slow and steady, I was lifting and coasting, saving fuel, right from lap 2. So, but it was so much fun, yeah, and the track was awesome.
What are you expecting from the rest of the season now? You know the car a little bit better. We've had, just over 3.5 hours of racing now in the season as well. What are you aiming for? What are you expecting from the season?
Well, I'm pretty slow, so I'm just the slow and steady strategy. It was kind of shame with the big crash at the beginning, because I think it would have been interesting at the end with George. I know he had much more pace than me, but I know from practice he was burning up his tires pretty much. So I was trying to save tires and fuel at the beginning. I figure, by the second half, I'd probably catch George and we'd have some fun. But yeah, I mean, that's my strategy in all these races. I don't have the pure pace some of these guys have. So I'm just slow and steady and hope the turtle beats the rabbit. So
it certainly worked with first place here today. Absolutely no problems with that. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, Ross and George, as always, for putting all these races on and doing the mods. Ben Borman and Don Fryman did a great job with this Sebring 85 track. They worked really hard on it. So, and then special shout out to Stephen Miller. I don't know if George mentioned this at the Daytona race, but he did a bunch of research for this mod to help Ross and George put the mod together. So Lots of people contributed to this awesome course. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, congratulations on taking the win here tonight, Jerry, and thanks to come and have a chat with us as well.
Thanks for doing the broadcast, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Jerry Chen there in the first place tonight for the AM class. Well, that's just about it from us here at Sebring. Next time we'll be in the Historics. We'll be in 3 weeks' time at Mugello, but just the week before that, we'll be here again at Sebring for the Modern Series. I think that worked quite well, to be honest, James. It was a very different layout. That much is very clear, but more good racing. I really enjoy seeing these historic cars, to be honest, and these historic layouts as well.
Yeah, I think the Historics is going to give us some great action over the season. You know, we go to Mugello, as I said, it doesn't look like Mugello's changed much from the last, from today's modern layout, to be blatantly honest with you. But I still think these guys are going to put in a great races going forward. Sebring, well, look, very, very difficult for some, and for them, they're just going to have to sort of reflect and think, what did I do wrong, you know, and how can I improve it as the season goes on.
Yeah, big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in over the course of the evening and for chatting as well. Hope you've enjoyed the broadcast once again. As I say, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, in a fortnight's time, here again at Sebring for a 2-hour race at that circuit for the Modern Series. Very much hope you can join us then again on the JPB YouTube channel. But for now, from myself, Ewan O'Leary, from James Parfitt alongside me, and from Paul Glover behind the cameras here tonight from Sebring, it's goodbye from the second round of the Virtual World Sportscar Championship in 1985. We'll see you for the next time in this series in 3 weeks' time at Mugello. Goodbye for now.